Right. Now we're gonna have a look at the speaking part. So, speaking, as you know, is done on a different session uh, as the others, so you will have some time to rest. At least if it's on the computer-based exam. So it seems, at least in the venue where I did it, that when if you choose to do it computer-based, then you're gonna do both parts, speaking and the rest, on the same day. So one part will be in the morning and the other in the afternoon. And it seems that if you choose to do it in the traditional format, handwritten, then you will be called on a different date for the speaking. I guess that depends on the amount of people that do the exam, so the computer based, for obvious reasons, allows for less people to do the exam at the same time, so probably for that reason they are able to arrange everyone to do the speaking on the same day, because for the traditional based or traditional kind of exam, since it's doing just with paper, they don't need as many computers or as many papers as they would need computers. What I mean is that many more people can do it at the same time, so if they have to examine all that more people, or all those more people at once, it would be impossible. They would probably not have enough examiners, or I don't know. So it seems like if you choose to do the exam handwritten, then you're gonna do the speaking on a different day. So that's one extra reason to do the exam computer based. So you dedicate just one day for the exam, not two. Alright, so first advice, very important advice for this part. Try to find your partner and dedicate some time to practice with them. If, well, I guess that's easier if you do the computer based version, because you can find out who your partner is on that same day, as long as your speaking exam is in the evening, because if it's not, then you're not gonna have much time anyway, because the exam starts early. I remember that that's what I did. I did all the writing and listening parts in the morning, and the speaking in the afternoon. But there were other people who weren't as lucky and had to do it the other way, so they had to do all the hard work in the afternoon when they were already tired after the whole day there. So, one way to find out who your partner is, at least if where you're doing the exam works same as where I did it, is probably going to be one of the person, one of the people sitting next to you during the exam, because I think that they arrange people by alphabetical order, so just try to find out. And in my case it was very obvious, because people took the speaking exam just one pair at a time. So I found that the person sitting next to me was having at the same time as me the speaking part, and I asked one of the examiners if that meant that we were going to do it together, and they said that yes, that was the case. So if you can, then by all means try to find who your partner is. And what we did is have lunch together and spend like 3 or 4 hours speaking before getting in the examination room. Now, you may think that that's an exaggeration to speak for 4 hours to prepare for something that takes barely 15 minutes. But I think it was worth it because I don't know in your case, but in my case, it always takes me a while till I feel comfortable after starting speaking, so I need some minutes to adjust to English. And if it's some hours, that's even better because what you want to is to get into this zone where it is easier for you to keep thinking and talking in English than it is to go back to your mother tongue. So if you need a couple of hours to do that, then go ahead and do it because it's going to pay off. So many people were kind of ashamed to talk in English with other people, but do it by all means. Don't waste that opportunity if you find your partner. Even if it's not your partner, if you find someone willing to practice, then do it. It's gonna help you both. Alright, so in the in this thing that is among the files that you can download, not for the sample tests of the computer version but of the traditional one, there is a zip file, and this is one of the things that is inside, and it's like the script that the examiners follow. So you have probably watched some videos of people doing the speaking part, and this is what the examiners ask you, and you will see that is exactly the same. So they always start asking you for some introduction of yourself, and it's exactly as you see here. They will ask you a couple of questions, 3. So what I did is answer each of them with a couple of sentences. Don't give just a word or a very brief sentence. Elaborate a little bit, but don't take over the conversation just for the introduction. Just say a couple of things so they start to have an idea of what your level is, but don't talk too much here because it's just the introduction. That's not the point here. Also, if you have time to practice with your partner, try to agree on how much time each one is going to talk, or who is going to start answering the collaborative questions or that kind of thing, because then it will make things smoother for you both and the examiners will notice. So it will be better for everyone if you do this. So that's part 2. That's what you have to do. You have to do these collaborative tasks where both of you have to comment on something. So this is the kind of paper that they give you. In my case it had more pictures, like 6 or 7, and these pictures somehow relate to one single topic. So in this case it's the food industry. In my case it was about glass, so you could see buildings with glass windows or people making glass objects, or I don't know, lots of things related to glass. And well, they first they will ask you to compare 2 pictures, 2 specific ones. They will tell you which, and then you will have to reach an agreement with your partner for deciding, for some reason, about one picture. You have to, like in my case it was, what would be the best picture to represent a journal magazine, for the cover of a journal magazine. So the topic was glass, so they were like, which picture represents glass the best for being the cover of this magazine. So this, since you don't know what they're going to ask you, no matter how much you have practiced with your partner, there is always room for improvisation, and you have to be ready for unexpected reactions from your partner as to their choices or their points of view. So be prepared for that. but don't be scared. So in my case about glass, from very early on my partner was very decided on choosing one specific picture that was like a big aquarium with people looking at fish and shark from the inside of like a glass dome. And he was insisting all the time in that was very representative, since then their glass was like a link between nature and humans. So yeah, his point was perfectly valid, but we got kind of stuck in the sense that I got the impression that if I had just agreed on that at first, then the exercise would have lasted 15 seconds. So if you find that your partner is so willing to advocate for one specific picture from the beginning, then it may be a good idea to disagree with him, even if you don't really. But try to keep talking. The point of this exercise is that you have to keep talking until the examiners interrupt you. If you talk too little, then that's not enough. But on the other hand, you don't have to talk and talk forever without reaching a conclusion. You need to be able to arrange your thoughts, put them into words, and then reach a conclusion. But there will be times when you feel like, well, even they will make you signals like so that you keep talking, even if you're done. So be prepared for that. Don't be surprised if they ask you to keep talking. And for that reason, it may be a good idea to not reach conclusions very fast. Just elaborate on everything and then comment on other possible pictures as possible best candidates for this magazine cover or whatever task you're given. And even if you talk so much about them that you fail to talk about some other pictures at all, then don't worry, that's not what is important. They are not interested in knowing what your opinion is on each single picture, but that you can compare a few of them and support your preferences and be able to interact with this other person so that you both can do something in a collaborative manner without having to do things in a confrontational way. Just be able to dialogue with your partner as long as it's needed. So yeah, that's part 2. In part 3, they ask you something more specific to you, and I guess that here there is, so they give you a card with a question and then you have to elaborate on that topic. I don't know if it is here, I haven't even looked at this thing completely, but be prepared for the examiners asking you some questions completely unrelated to what they are talking about. Because I was talking about whatever, I can't remember what question they gave to me in this card, but at some point they interrupt me and then asked me something completely unrelated to it. They had like a set of questions written in a book that they had, and the question was completely out of the blue and completely unexpected, so I was talking about whatever, and then the next thing that they asked me, even the examiner started laughing at the question. She was like, what makes you feel attracted to another person, or something like this. So be prepared for this shifting of the topics so sudden that you need to adjust. You have to keep talking. Say whatever. They really are not going to rate your opinion. They are going to rate your ability to adapt to these situations and to have to support your view, whatever it is. So don't be so worried about the content as to be able to keep talking and defend your point, whatever it is. Well, I guess that could be this separate question here. So, yeah, as they say, they will ask your partner something related to what you answered, and then they will do the exact same thing to you. So you need to pay attention to what your partner says. I don't know, you probably have seen the videos on YouTube about real exams, so I'm not going to tell you anything here that you don't know, but a couple of things that I noticed in the videos of other people and that I tried to put into practice and it seems to have worked, and they never tell you this, is that not only does verbal communication matter, but in fact non-verbal communication can, if you know what you're doing, can give the impression to the examiners that you actually know more than you do, or that you are feeling more convinced by your own thoughts than you really are. So that can, I don't know, maybe can increase your marks by conveying that you're feeling more comfortable than you really are. So one thing that I noticed watching all these videos, regardless of what the level of the people was that the one gesticulating the most tended to dominate the conversation and feel more confident, and the other would shy away and speak less. And if your partner likes to talk a lot, that's bad for you, because you're not going to have the chance to demonstrate the examiners what you know. So, first of all, keep your hands above the table and move them as you talk, like if you were explaining some concepts, even if you're not. But just move them. Don't leave them sitting beneath the table, and don't hunch over your back, and don't feel as if your opinion is less important than the other person's, because it's not, it's just the same. And also be kind to your partner, in the sense that don't interrupt them, and if you feel that they are stuck, encourage them somehow, or ask them questions, or if neither of you is very confident about starting speaking, for example in part 2, then you can ask them if they would like to start. Those are little things that can help you to feel more at ease and to convey that to the examiners, and probably they take that into consideration. Also, look at everyone in the eyes, to your partner but also to the examiners, especially the guy that is in the background rating you, because actually that's the one rating you. So if you look at him and also speak directly to him from time to time, probably he will feel more welcomed in the conversation, and he will grant you some points for that. I don't know, but if I were the examiner, I would probably do. So keep that in mind. There's really not much to say about this. Some people get very scared because they have to talk face to face to other, while on the rest of the parts they are just in front of a paper or a computer screen. But if you have experience in talking to others, especially if they are native, and you are not intimidated by the fact that you know beforehand that your level is obviously worse than theirs, if you don't feel threatened by that, there shouldn't be any problem. Another thing that you guys should do if you're not feeling confident about your speaking is definitely read something out loud and record your own voice, because for sure that is going to sound different to what you're used to hearing when you speak. That happens to everyone, and chances are that you're not gonna like what you're gonna hear, but it's a good idea to get used to that. And if also, not just for sound but for quality of pronunciation, probably you think you pronounce better than you do, and it's a good idea to work on the things that you think you're doing right but actually you're not, and only a recording is going to show you that. You may think that your pronunciation is great, and then you will be embarrassed when you listen to yourself. And get practice in talking a lot without stopping. For that, you can read books out loud. Read several pages at once without stopping. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then your speaking is probably not going to sound very smooth. So do that. Spend some time doing that. And the more you do, and especially if you do it right and you correct the kind of shapes that your mouth does, then the more comfortable you're going to feel and the more natural the different sounds are going to sound in when you speak, because that depends on your country of origin. If your mother tongue has sounds that English doesn't have and vice versa, then it's going to feel more awkward for you. That's why some people have stronger accents than others, because they are not used to doing certain specific shapes or positions with their mouths, tongues, and all that, and they just do the way they would do it in their language. So if a sound doesn't exist in their language, they are really not going to know how to do it. So they change that sound and make it more similar to something that exists in their language, and thus all the wide range of accents. So work on those sounds that don't exist in your language, because the more you can minimize these wrong pronunciations, the better you're going to sound. Also, another remark is that it doesn't seem to matter to the examiners that you don't have a British accent. First of all, because there is no such thing as a British accent. Probably inside Britain there are more different accents than there are in the rest of the different English speaking countries. So there is no such thing as a British accent, but don't feel like you have to speak like the Queen of Britain to get a good mark on the exam. If you if you listen to my accent, you will realize that it's not at all British, or I guess it's more similar to American, but neither. So you don't have to copy the accent of anyone, just do something neutral and pronounce things well. Don't try to copy the musicality that other people have, because probably you're gonna do it wrong and you're going to sound more ridiculous more than anything else, because you're trying to copy them and are failing. Just keep your integrity, if you will, and adapt the language to you. Don't try to to imitate the natives, because you're going to fail and they're going to tell anyway. The most that you're going to achieve is that you're going to sound weird with that. However, if you keep like your accent but try to pronounce well things, then probably they will respect you more. I mean, if I heard someone trying to speak my language and trying to copy the way that in my region the way we speak, then probably that would sound funny to me more than if they tried something more standard and more neutral. So also keep that in mind. Trying to sound like a BBC presenter is probably not a good idea, because no matter how hard you try, you're gonna do it wrong. I I have found some people who have apparently very good British accents without being British. At least to me they sound perfectly acceptable as British, and then you can see in the comments in the video real British telling them that they are far from sounding like real British. So if these guys cannot do it, then probably you shouldn't waste your time trying to do it. Just talk. I mean, communication is the most important thing. Don't try to make this any kind of form of art. Don't don't try to be who you're not. Just use language as what it is, and it is a tool. Now, if you want to make it a piece of art, then this exam is probably not what you're looking for. Don't waste your money on this. Do something else. Alright, I think this is all I have for speaking.